Hi, my name is Pastor Hal York, and welcome to Truth in the Trenches. Today we're going to be in Proverbs chapter 4, verses 6 and 8 and 9. Do not forsake her, and she will guard you. Love her, and she will watch over you. The beginning of wisdom is acquire wisdom, and with all your acquiring get understanding. Prize her, and she will exalt you. She will honor you if you embrace her. She will place on your head a garland of grace, and she will present you with a crown of beauty. Now, today we're going to look at verses 6 and then verses 8 and 9. And we looked at verse 7 earlier in our studies. But they all go together, but I just want to look at those three verses today. Because these verses deal with a subject that comes up over and over again in Proverbs. Our attitude towards wisdom and the corresponding fruit of such attitudes. That's what we see in these verses. You know, whenever you go out, maybe during the summer, you're not going to see it nowadays, but until spring. But whenever you see someone out washing their car, maybe it's a Saturday ritual. You drive by their house every Saturday, and you see they're out there with their hose and the soap and the bucket, and they're washing the car, and they just do that every week. Well, that action reflects what they think about their car. And if you see them doing it over and over and over again, you gain certain perspectives on what they think about the cars, or that car in particular. You like that, they like that car. They love a clean car. They take pride in the ownership of that car. And that all comes out, their attitude comes out by what you see them doing to the car, how they treat it. And that's what Solomon's talking about when it comes to wisdom. This is advice to his son in regards to his attitude towards wisdom. The attitude Solomon sets forth are basically do not forsake her, which means do not ignore her, do not abandon her, do not forget her, do not let wisdom slip through your fingers like sand. And it happens so often, especially in young people. They start out harmless. It may start out harmless enough. Young people grow up in church. They're taken to church every week. They go to Sunday school, all the youth groups. They learn the lingo. They learn how to act Christian. But it never takes root in their hearts. They get into high school and college and around people who are not religious at all. They've never gone to church, who have a different way of looking at life, thinking about life, morality, ethics, and their worldview, etc. Sometimes it happens slowly, sometimes quite quickly. But the young person begins to forsake or forget or ignore what they've been taught, ignore what the scriptures teach, and wisdom begins to slip through their fingers. And they begin to make choices the Bible says are unwise. It may even be sinful. And such attitudes reap very often bitter fruit in their lives. So Solomon tells us how we can keep that from happening. He says to love her, to cherish her, to prize her, to value her, to honor her and exalt her. To love or cherish wisdom. What you truly love, you hang on to. You make it a priority. You don't treat it lightly. You love it. You embrace it. You prize or value wisdom. You see its worth. It's more valuable than rubies or diamonds. What you prize, what you love, you protect, you exalt, and you honor. Is that your attitude towards wisdom? Do you guard your heart, guard it from the things that will affect it and cause you to veer away from wisdom? Do you love wisdom more than you love the things of this world? Do you prize wisdom more than what people think about you? Do you honor wisdom more than being popular? As I said earlier, these attitudes bear fruit. And the fruit is this. What will wisdom do for you? She will guard you. She will watch over you. She will exalt you and honor you. Notice what else wisdom will do for you in verse 9. She will place on your head a garland of grace, and she will present you with a crown of beauty. We see that kind of terminology over and over again in Proverbs. We see it in chapter 1 and so on. But this imagery may seem foreign to our culture, but these expressions simply refer to things that are visible to others when you wear them, enhancing our attractiveness. And what Solomon is saying here, one of the fruits of wisdom is that wisdom makes your life attractive to other people. And conversely, when you neglect wisdom, it will yield visible outcomes for others, but these outcomes are not appealing or attractive. I mean, just think about it for a minute. Do you know people whose lives are attractive? Well, what makes them attractive? It's not because of their financial status or their standing in the community necessarily. There's nothing wrong with those things. But your financial status and your popularity in the community has nothing to do with what Solomon is talking about in these verses. These are not what make your lives truly attractive. They may be unknown, these people, but still their lives are attractive to those who know them. Why? Because they're polite, they're respectful, they're kind, they're thoughtful, they're humble, they're responsible. You feel safe when you're around them. You enjoy being around them. Their lives are marked by integrity. All of those things are attractive to people. When they see people like that, they're attracted to them. They think, my, that's a nice person. They're a nice person. You know, on the other hand, you know people whose lives are not attractive. As you look at them live their lives, they're rude, they're selfish, they're thoughtless, they're cruel, they're disrespectful, they're lazy, they're irresponsible. Their lives have no integrity whatsoever. Well, how do these two kinds of people end up like this? Attitudes bear fruit. Do not forsake wisdom. Do not turn your back on it. The consequences of embracing or rejecting wisdom will follow you throughout your life and ultimately form your character, which will be either attractive or unattractive to those around you. Obviously, wisdom is personified in the person of Jesus Christ. Colossians says that in him are hid all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. And think about this for a minute. Jesus lived a perfect life in every respect. He was perfectly wise. And yes, people rejected his teachings. But you hardly ever hear people say anything bad about Jesus as a person. Even if they despise his teaching and they utterly reject it, there are very few people you will find who will not acknowledge that Jesus was a good person. His life, his attitudes lived out for those 33 years, lived wisely, following perfectly everything Solomon says about wisdom and Proverbs. He lived a perfectly godly life, a holy life. And these things made his life attractive. Wisdom will do the same for each of us. It begins by embracing Christ himself, believing in him for forgiveness that he purchased for us on the cross, living his life through us, repenting, turning from sin to serve him. All of these things are part of living the Christian life. It's Christ living his life through us, and he wants to live a life through us that is wise. And when these principles of wisdom become part of our character, our lives become attractive. It doesn't mean everybody's going to believe what we believe and embrace us because we believe certain truths. They're going to reject us, but they're really rejecting what we teach. Don't we walk wisely? Proverbs says Christ will guard us. Christ will watch over us because Christ is wisdom. As we pay attention to his word, as we love it, prize it, honor it, and because of those things we obey it, Christ will make our lives attractive as his life is being lived through us. And so it's an important thing to keep in mind in our lives as Christians. Is our life attractive to other people? It will be if we learn to live wisely. As we follow the principles Solomon lays down in this book, our life will be attractive to other people. They will see character in us. They will see something in us that's different than they see in many other people in the world. And this is not because of how much money we have or the kind of house we live in. You can see people who have very nice homes, whose lives are attractive, but they're not attractive because of the homes they live in or the kind of car they drive. They're attractive because of their character. And it's true whether you see poor people or rich people. You can meet poor people whose lives are very unattractive and rich people whose lives are very unattractive as well. And it all comes down to not how much money we have in the bank, how popular we are with our friends, but our character. What are we becoming? Are we valuing wisdom? Or have we forsaken it? Do we prize it? Do we honor it? Do we embrace it? If we do, wisdom will place on our head a garland of grace, and she will present us with a crown of beauty. Our lives will be attractive to others. Our character will be attractive to others. As God puts a new song in our mouth, and we give him the glory for everything he's doing in us and through us. It's Christ in us that makes our life attractive. So may this truth guide us and guard us in the churches of life as we seek to live our lives for the glory of God and the good of others. May God bless.